First things first, trial and improvement. To do trial and improvement, we need to have a table. We have x, we have our equation, and we have comment. We're told that this equation has a solution between 4 and 5. So what I'm going to do is firstly substitute in x equals 4. So I get 4 cubed, take away 6 times 4, giving me, let me work this out, so that's going to be 64 take away 24, so we know we're going to get 40, but just showing you with a calculator, 40. Now, we're expecting an answer of 72, so that's too small. We then try the upper bound, which is x equals 5. Now that gives you 5 cubed, take away 6 times 5, which is, so we have 5 cubed. So I'm going to use the arrows to change the 4 into a 5. 95, which is too big. This tells us the solution is somewhere in between. So I'm now going to try substituting in x equals 4.5. This gives me 64.125, which is too small. So that means I should try a larger value of x equals 4.6. $69.736. That is still too small, it's still less than 72, so let's try x equals 4.7. Giving you 75.623, which is bigger than 72. So that means I should logically try x equals 4.75 because I've now gone between too small and too big again. That's 72.644625, which is too big. So because 4.65 is too big, we choose the answer x equals 4.6 as our solution. We round down. So I say x is 4.6 to 1 dp. Okay, let's have a look at this question. We have an isosceles triangle. Now it's not clear which sides are equal, but I'm going to presume that this side is equal to this side. We want to work out the perimeter of the triangle. So again, I haven't got my pen, so please excuse me using the keyboard. So what I can say is that 3x minus 5 is equal to 19 take away x, because those two sides are equal. Now, I can solve this equation by taking the minus x on the right over to the left to become plus x. So we have 3x minus 5 plus x equals 19, which means by simplifying the left-hand side, 3x plus x is 4x, take away 5 equals 19. I can now take the minus 5 over to the right, or if you like, add 5 to both sides, giving me 4x equals 24. I can then divide by 4, divide both sides by 4 if you like, giving me 24 divided by 4, so x is 6. To work out the perimeter of the triangle, I need to work out expressions for each of the sides. So we have 3x, so 3 times 6, take away 5. Now, 6 3 is 18, take away 5 is going to be 13. So this side is 13 centimeters. 19 take away 6 is also 13, which is what we'd expect because it's isosceles. So we have two sides of length 13, and then finally 2x. Well, I've got 2 times x is 6, that's 2 times 6 is 12. So to work out the perimeter, we would do 13, add 12. So 26, 36, 38 centimeters. So we want to work out the value of x in this quadrilateral. Again, excuse the right that I'm using my mouse. So what I'm going to do is remember that the angles in a quadrilateral will add up to 360 degrees. So if I write down all of the angles, now they are algebraic, so I've got 3x plus x plus 2x, and then the last angle is obviously 90 because it's a square angle. All of those will add up to 360. So I've actually formed an equation. So I have 3x plus x plus 2x, which is going to be 6x, plus 90 is equal to 360. So what I'm going to do now is subtract 90 from both sides, giving me that 6x is equal to 360 take away 90. Well, if I took away 100, I'd have 260, so that's going to be 270. Then to get x on its own, I would need to divide by 6. So x is equal to 270 divided by 6. A little trick, to divide by 6, you divide by 3 and divide by 2. Now, if I do 270 divided by 3, I'm going to get 90. Divided by 2 gives me 45. It's now asking if AD and BC would be parallel. Well, AD, well, in fact, I think they would be, because the angle at A, so angle DAB, so I'm going to say angle DAB is equal to 2 times 45, which is 90. So it really, in the actual shape, it would go straight up like this. And that means it would be in the same direction as BC. So I'm going to say, therefore, angle DAB is going to be the same as the angle CB, or ABC, I could say. Therefore, they are parallel. So therefore, AD is indeed parallel to BC. Next, we want to expand and simplify, one of the most important skills we have. So we need to use, because we have double brackets, we need to use FOIL. Now, I don't really like the acronym FOIL. What we're really doing is you are multiplying everything in this second bracket by x, and then you're multiplying everything in the second bracket by 2, and then simplifying. But we call it FOIL because we have the first term in the first bracket times the first term in the second, x times x, which is x squared. Then we have to do x times plus 1, which gives me plus x. So that's the outside. I've done the outside, so I've done the first and the outside. Now we do plus 2 times x, that's the inside, that's plus 2x. And then you do the last, which is plus 2 times plus 1, which is just plus 2. So we have x squared plus, and then x plus 2x is 3x, plus 2, and that is our expanded expression. We now have a slightly trickier one, so we have to do first 3x times 2x, that's 6x squared. 3x times plus 3, that's plus 9x. Then we have to do the inside. Plus 4 times 2x is plus 8x. And I'm emphasizing the plus because if it was a minus 4, you would have a minus 8x here. Now, plus 4 times plus 3 is plus 12. Now I simplify. I have no other x squared terms. I've got 6x squared. 9x plus 8x is plus 17x. And then I've got plus 12. Okay, so we have Mary owned n sheep, and Sam had exactly 4 times as many sheep as Mary. So I'm going to make a little table for myself. So I've got Mary, I've got Sam. So Mary started with n sheep. Sam had 4 times as many, which is 4 times n, or 4n. Mary bought 17 more sheep, so that means she would now have n plus 17 sheep. Sam sold 8 of his sheep, so he now has 4n minus 8 sheep. Now we're told that Sam has more sheep than Mary, So 4n minus 8, Sam's amount of sheep, is greater than n plus 17, which is Mary's amount of sheep. I'm going to subtract this n from both sides. I'm going to take it over to the left. So I get, and I'm doing that because there's more n's on the left-hand side. So I'm taking the n over to become minus. 4n take away 1n is 3n. 3n take away 8 is greater than 17. Take the minus 8 over to the right, becomes a plus 8. So we have 3n is greater than 17 add 8, which is 25. And then I need to divide by 3 to get n on its own. So we have n is greater than 25 over 3. Now 3 goes into 25 8 times with remainder 1, so it's 8 and a third, or 8.3 recurring. Now you can't have 8.3 recurring sheep. N is greater than 8.3 recurring, so that means the minimum amount of sheep must be 9, because n is bigger than 8 and a third. We want to solve the following equations. These are quadratic. So x squared minus 2x minus 24 is 0. So I'm looking for a pair, and first of all, I want to factorize. So to factorize, I'm going to have two brackets. And the reason I've got two brackets is because this is a quadratic expression with an x squared term, an x term, and a constant term. I know I'm going to have an x and an x because in FOIL, I would need them to multiply to give the x squared. Now the numbers on the end need to multiply when I do FOIL to give minus 24, but they need to combine, so additively, so by additional subtraction, to give minus 2. So I'm going to consider the factors of 24. 1 times 24 is 24. This is the worst one because there's loads of factors. 2 times 12 is 24. Again, I apologize for not having my pen with me, so I'm using my mouse. 3 times 8 is 24. 4 times 6 is 24. 5, 6, and it's going to repeat now because it's 6 times 4, so that's a repeat. Now I need to have one of these pairs which will add to, or effectively add to give minus 24 when I include minuses. So I'm going to need a minus and a plus here because they have to times to give minus 24. So they've got a times to give minus 24 and they have to add to give minus 2. So the only candidates I can see are 4 and 6, because if I put in minus 6, if I then add 4, minus 6 plus 4 is minus 2, happy. Minus 6 times 4 is minus 24, happy. So that's my factorized form. Now, if the expanded form equals 0, so does the factorized form. So I have this expression, x minus 6 times x plus 4 is 0. If x minus 6 is 0, x would need to be 6. So I flip the sign to get x equals plus 6. Similarly, if x plus 4 is 0, x would have to be minus 4. And those are my answers. Then for B, I need to have a pair of numbers that multiply to give plus 18 and combine additively, so that basically means add or take away to give minus 11. Now, when I think about it like that, because I have a plus 18 and I have a minus 11, I need to have two minuses because a minus times a minus is a plus. So I'm going to consider the factors of 18. 1 times 18, 2 times 9, 3 times 6, and, well, that's it. Now, minus 9 take away 2 is minus 11. Now you might be confused by that, thinking, oh, minus and a minus makes a plus. Well, a negative number multiplied by a negative number is a positive number. That's correct, plus 18. You would notice two minuses times together, you're going to get a plus, and then 9 times 2 is 18. But if you do 9 take away 2, that doesn't magically become a plus. It needs to be thought of as minus 9 degrees, and if the temperature goes down by a further 2 degrees, you are at minus 11 degrees. It doesn't magically become plus. So we can see these numbers work, equals 0 because the expanded form equals 0. So either x is plus 9 or x is plus 2, and those would be our solutions. Okay, this is finally last two questions. Okay, trigonometry. Find the length of the side AB. First thing I do with any question, I can see it's trigonometric. It's going to be SOHCAHTOA because I've got a right angle triangle and an angle, not Pythagoras here. So I label a triangle. Opposite the right angle is always the hypotenuse. Opposite the non-right angle, which we're given or we want to work out, is obviously the opposite. And then the other side is the adjacent. We now write down our equations. So we have right angle triangle, so it's SOHCAHTOA. TOA. Really need my pen. SOHCAHTOA. TOA. Now we have the hypotenuse and we want AB, which is the adjacent. So that means we need to use CA because that has two ticks. It's ticked twice, right? The other ones we'd have hypotenuse and we'd want the adjacent, but they only have one tick. So we use CA. So I write down the formula cosine of the angle. So cosine bracket 62 is opposite, not opposite, so that was rubbish, adjacent over hypotenuse. But the adjacent is unknown, is what I want to find. The hypotenuse is 12. So I have cos 62. Let's write it again. This is horrendous writing. Cos 62 degrees, I should say, is adjacent over 12. If I want a on its own, I need to do the opposite of dividing by 12, which is multiplying by 12. This will bring the 12 up to the left-hand side. So I have 12 times cosine 62 is a. Let's see what that is. In my head, that is about 6. 12 times cos 62. Yeah, 5.6 to 1 dp. So we say 5.6 centimeters. Let me do that again. I have some pride in my writing. 5.6 centimeters. Last question. We want BC this time. So we're going to label. We have the hypotenuse. We have the opposite. We have the adjacent. We have to use, in this case, we want BC, which is the opposite. We have the hypotenuse. We're going to use sine. Sine 58 equals opposite over hypotenuse, so SOHCAHTOA. Hypotenuse is 14. To get the opposite on its own, we multiply by 14. 14 sine 58 is going to be the opposite. So taking a guess there, that's about 7 root 3, which is going to be about 90 something. That's just a guess. See how close I am. I'm actually not that confident in that. So 14 sine 58. No, that seems way too big actually. So no, that is way too big. It's going to be about. I'm actually not sure. Let's see what it is. 11.87. No, nowhere near 90. No, it couldn't be 90. So we have about 11.87 as our answer. That's obviously what I meant. So about 11.87, which is about 11.9 centimeters. I don't know where I got 90 from, but there we go.